All right, we are live. What is up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Random Encounter Podcast, episode 152. I'm your host, James, and I'm joined by the Dress Room Master, the Dominant himself, Bryant.
Live from the ball pit.
And that is it. It's just me and Bryant today. Fan couldn't make it, and of course, Ash is in Japan. We weren't never really expecting him to show up, because I mean it's vacation. He should be enjoying vacation, but he has sent us some like cool pictures and stuff like that he's found. Like he found Mario Galaxy, the bundle there. He found it pretty cheap. I think what he say he spent like $50 or something, which is about
Yeah, something like that.
yeah, and that's like $20 cheaper than what it is over here. So there's that. And he got another game. What was the other game? Was it Final Fantasy Tactics or something else?
I don't remember though. It feels like forever ago, but I
Yeah,
remember you posted it in the Discord. Yeah.
yeah, he did. It was another game that he had there. But yeah, um, so he's enjoying that. I'm sure we'll hear more from him the next
He'll be back
time.
next week, right?
Yeah, next week he
Yeah.
will be. So we're
So we'll
definitely
get a
gonna
full
hear.
report.
Yes, we will hear his report and see what he has to say on that. I apologize for starting a little bit late. OBS had an update, or not necessarily OBS, but Atom, which is a software that I used for multi-streaming, it had an update. And with this update, instead of importing all of my vertical scenes, I had to redo every single vertical scene all over again. So like if you look at the vertical screen right now, it doesn't look the best. It's definitely not the best that I've made, but it's gonna have to do for now because
It'll
we have a
do.
podcast to show, and I've already spent too much time organizing. It's pretty cool though. Like they added, so I used to have to use a separate application for chat, a separate application for what else? Um, basically a lot of things. Here now it's a lot cleaner interface. I can see the vertical stream. I can see the chat now. I can see activity. So if anybody subscribes or follows on YouTube or Twitch, I can actually see that right here in one screen, which is pretty cool. And of course, I can manage the scenes there. So pretty cool. Shout out to Atom if you guys are interested in streaming at all. Take a look at them. They're I wouldn't say they're open source, but they basically have free plugins for OBS, and they really do work, and it does make a lot of things a little bit easier, except for when we had this issue right now. But luckily, I was able to get it fixed by just kind of putting my brain to good usage. Anyways, we are gonna go ahead and begin with what we've been playing. Since it's just the two of us. So, Brian, I'm curious to see what you've been playing.
Pretty much two things recently. Just been really busy.
Mhm.
I've been really into Super Mario Galaxy for the past couple of weeks or whatever. I still maintain that Mario Galaxy 1 is better than Mario Galaxy 2. I
Mhm.
went back to Mario Galaxy 2 after some time of not playing it, and I mean, I beat Mario Galaxy 2 a long time ago, like when it came out or whatever, and I just remember how heralded it was as superior to Mario Galaxy, or yeah, Mario Galaxy. I thought I was saying Mario Odyssey for a second. A lot of review outlets were saying that Mario Galaxy 2 is better than Mario Galaxy, and it's like the best Mario platformer ever. And I'm not in that camp. I definitely think that Mario Galaxy 1 is better.
Yeah.
I do like it a lot, though. It's still a fantastic Mario platforming action in outer space. Like you can't really beat that. I think that its aesthetic is like the truest in 3D to what I think Mario should look like. It's just
Mhm.
very the colors are very beautiful and bold, and the polygons are just very flat. Like it looks really good and really simple. Like the art just really goes well with the era. And I mean, because when it came out, it was on the Wii, and the Wii was very underpowered back in the day,
Mhm.
and it had to make do with 480p or whatever it was. And the trick to making games look good on the Wii was just having a really good art style that could surpass what the graphic capability of it was. And I feel like Mario Galaxy is a prime example of that. Just like I mean, to a lesser extent, but like I know Wind Waker was originally on GameCube, but even
Yeah.
that, you could make the argument that Wind Waker has aged a lot less than say like Twilight Princess,
Mhm.
as far as like how it looks. Same thing I think here is that Mario Galaxy, I think will stand the test of time better than other Mario platformers down the line. But anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I'm playing that, enjoying it. Still Mario Galaxy 2, it's fun. Also, I picked up Ball Pit yesterday. Do you remember that? Like in one of the Nintendo Directs, Ball X Pit.
No, which one was that one? Oh, is that the one that was like
It's like this
Splatoon?
indie. No,
Oh, no?
no, it's not the
Okay,
one that's like
gotcha.
Splatoon. It's this game that's first of all, the name is probably like 75% of the reason I bought it because I was obsessed with ball pits when I was a kid. And
Hmm.
so I'm like, hey, I loved ball pits. Maybe I'll like this. Maybe this game will make me feel like a kid again. So I bought it, and it doesn't have anything to do with the ball pits that you remember as a kid inside of McDonald's or Discovery Zone or whatever. It's just that they call it a pit because you're kind of like literally getting descended into a pit. I definitely would encourage you to look up a YouTube video of it, like what the gameplay is. But the best way that I can describe it is it's like if you crossed Vampire Survivors with Breakout,
Okay.
and I'm trying to think of like a farming game because there's like a town building mini game in it too. I guess like an ActRaiser or like an ease kind of thing maybe, but there's like a small town building aspect of it too. But the main gameplay of it, as far as like when you're playing it and fighting enemies and stuff, is it's literally Vampire Survivors, but it's an auto scroller and the perspective and the action is Breakout. And you kind of go through it and you get upgrades and stuff to your ball that you're shooting and to the little pellets that, or rather the littler balls that come out that hurt enemies and stuff. It's really cool. It's a cool game. The town management stuff goes over my head. I've kind of figured out in my and like lately these days that the more complicated a game is, the harder it is for me to get into. It's kind of like the same reason why I can't get into card. Like I never could get into card games like Magic and like even Pokemon and
Yeah.
even like some board games. There's a lot of really complicated board games out there too. It just at a certain point when it gets too convoluted, it overwhelms me. I just tap out. And this the gameplay is pretty easy. It's a roguelike, and when you're going through the levels, you're leveling up as you kill enemies and you get power ups and you upgrade your weapons and stuff. It's a really addicting gameplay loop, and I don't really have problems understanding that. But then when you get to the town building thing where you're gathering materials and stuff, that's where I'm kind of like, oh, is this really necessary? This is just it makes me feel insecure about what I'm doing. It's like, okay, do I want to get these sticks or should I be putting my resources elsewhere? And that just happens a lot to me in games where there's lots of different gameplay systems. It's kind of the same reason why I tapped out of Trails in the Sky first chapter is I just kind of felt like I know I'm doing something wrong, and it made me quit. What was the other? There's another game that I was playing that. Oh, I went back to I forgot to mention this. I went back to Metaphor ReFantazio the other day, and I played
Oh,
that for
nice.
a couple hours. And that's another game where I just literally feel like I'm doing it wrong. It's because it's just you have all these different what do you call them? What do you call the different classes?
I forgot what they're
You have,
called in that
what are they
game
called? It's gonna bother me.
because I never
I'm gonna
bought
look it
it.
up.
I was gonna buy it when it came out, but like now, I feel like it's gonna come to the Switch too. Now that like, Persona 3 Reload is available, so I figured that that's coming next. So I'm just waiting.
I'm looking up what the name of it is. Archetypes. That's it. It's
Okay,
archetypes.
I was gonna say
So there's different
arbitrary, but
archetypes. Yeah, close. So there's different archetypes in Metaphor Fantasio, and they're just classes essentially. Like you have
Mhm.
mage and knight and um, what else is there? Like the equivalent of like a black mage, white mage,
Yeah.
in Final Fantasy, like all different classes and stuff like that. And what's tricky about it is that as you're playing the game, you get these points, not unlike Final Fantasy Tactics or any other Final Fantasy game where you get points and you can put those points towards leveling up the current archetype that you're in or learning new archetypes. And I always hate that because I'm like, okay, do I need to level up what I have, or should I like learn everything, like learn all the different archetypes? And I could totally see a realistic scenario where I'll like put all of my points into learning the knight on the main character, and then you get to this boss where you read some guide where it's like, well, really, you're supposed to do this and this. You go on the online forum. Well, yeah, duh. Of course, you're supposed to put all the points into all these other things and do it this way. And I'm like, how am I supposed to know that? Like, it's so they depend on the player to understand a lot of really deep, complex stuff. And maybe 99% of the population can, and I can't, but that's just kind of the way it is. Same thing with Trails in the Sky. I felt the same way where it just overwhelmed me. I do think eventually I'm going to try that again. I just don't want to try it at full price. But yeah, there's just a bunch of games like that that I've kind of bounced off of because it's too much, and that's one of the reasons I love Final Fantasy 16 is it's very basic. It's just you have your armor and your weapon. It's about skill. It's like Devil May Cry. You equip your abilities and you just go out there and wreck shop. That's what I like. I don't like the super deep stuff where I bounce off. And again, I'm not criticizing it for being deep. I think it's a limitation of my brain personally. or my ability to comprehend complex systems and rules and stuff like that. But same reason I bounced off of Final Fantasy 14, even though I would love to get into Final
Hmm.
Fantasy 14. It's just it's just so deep that it's hard for me to take a step into it. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've been playing. It's just those games, and I have the next few days off, so I'm hoping I'll be able to dig into some more.
Yeah, Stu Jersey had set on Twitch had set archetypes. I apologize,
Oh, thank
Stu. I
you.
did not see the chat. Brian, if you could have like Twitch or something also open just in case if I missed chat. I
Mm.
was trying to fix the vertical scene a little bit here and
Just let it go,
uh
James.
feel that it's just bugging me. It's like I don't like the way it is. The dumb thing is the way they change the vertical scenes now. It's like if you want to go ahead and edit the stuff, usually you can just press and like crop it and everything. They just made it a little bit more complicated where your mouse cursor can't really click on it to crop, which is weird. So I've been spending that time there. But anyways, yeah, Mario Galaxy is one of those things that I gotta pick up. I want to pick up. I want to finish Mario Galaxy 1 because I had it in the 3D All Stars collection, but now it's like I'd rather just restart on the new Galaxy collection, play it there, and then play go into Galaxy 2 since I've never played Galaxy 2. And I might do that on stream. Complete both of them
That'd
on
be a good
stream.
stream game. We need
Yeah.
to have a serious talk about you completing games. Like the fact that you haven't completed Mario Galaxy or even played Mario Galaxy 2
Yeah.
is borderline sacrilegious.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said this on a couple podcasts ago. Like when the Wii came out, I my Wii machine was literally my Fire Emblem machine. I had the Resident Evil like Chronicles games, right? Dark Side Chronicles and Umbrella Chronicles. I had what else? Sonic Unleashed, of course. Honestly, my Wii was for non-Nintendo games, which was funny. The majority of my games on Wii were non-Nintendo. And then of course I had like Final Fantasy 4 After Years on the what was it? What were they called? Um, like
Was it Chronicles Anthology
no, there was the
Collection
after years,
Anthology?
but what are they called? WiiWare games, right? That's what they were called if they were
Yeah,
like
WiiWare.
online
Yeah.
only. So I had
Mhm.
that. I had bought virtual console games, of course, and then of course Smash Brawl. Like who didn't have Smash Bros on their Wii? That was it. Like that was that era of gaming for me. I kind of like was like breaking up with Nintendo. I was kind of like, like I don't really care as much. I was diving in a little bit more heavily on the PS3 for sure and 360, and I was a lot heavier into RPGs compared to doing like a lot of other different like games. And then like slowly, specifically when the 3DS came out, that's what brought me back into Nintendo. Fell in love with the 3DS, and then of course I bought the Wii U, and I just like was going all in on Nintendo games after that. So yeah, catching up on Galaxy 2. Oh, I did have Metroid Prime as well. Because I still love
I
Metroid.
hope so. Do
Yeah.
you finish that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Metroid Prime 3, I
Okay,
finished
good.
it. Yeah. I
Good.
finished, yeah, back then I used to complete games. Now it's a little bit
Okay.
harder. um, but yeah, so I definitely want to pick that up. Uh Metaphor v Fantasio. I'm probably gonna wait for a Switch 2 release. I do want to pick that up. I'm actually debating on rebuying Persona 3 Reload on Switch 2. I'm like, like part of me doesn't want to, but part of me is like, if I play it on Switch 2, because I've been playing my Switch 2 a lot lately, it's like I probably will beat it. The downside is I am currently playing Pokemon Legends ZA, but before we talk about that, I do want to talk about Final Fantasy Tactics because I have been playing Final Fantasy Tactics, and I do not remember it being this hard. Like,
Okay, so I'm not the only one.
yeah, it is pretty difficult. I've had a few times to stop and grind and then continue. And I'm like, man, like I don't ever remember that game being that hard. Like in my head, like a lot of other RPGs at the time, I did a straight rush without grinding. And I was able to beat the game without having to grind. I remember Tactics, the only time that I had to start over was because I could not beat Belius the Gigas. I forgot who turns into him, but it was a one-on-one fight. And I remember I just kept getting destroyed. And then I looked up like a strategy. It's like you should be I think they were recommending like a monk. Oh no, they're recommending like dual wielding, using metal, and having like chakra or something like that. I forgot exactly what it was. The strategy was to run away, boost your speed so you can attack multiple times in a row, and then fight him. So then basically what you're doing is you're attacking, then running, then hitting him again, and then running. And you just keep doing it back and forth until you beat him. And I was like, okay, cool. So I restarted the whole tactics game and beat it. But I'm probably, I don't know, like maybe like 10, 15 hours in. A lot of grinding. I've been doing a lot of grinding. To put into perspective, I've almost unlocked every single job. I've maxed out
Wow.
3 or 4 of my job classes because I've been heavily grinding. And in this game, I don't know, like grinding's fun because I'm like, oh sweet, like I gotta get all these skills and then I move on to the next class. I was like, all right, I want all these skills and move on to the next class. I was way ahead of the classes that I should have had. So when it came to like Dragoon, for example, I had unlocked Dragoon in the beginning of the game. I could not use Dragoon. I couldn't get any spears or anything like that. So Dragoon was useless. So I had to go a different route. And then unlocked Ninja, use dual wield, and dual wield just like destroys everybody. Especially if you get the mace. There's the mace weapon. It's unreliable because it has like a huge range of damage. It can do like 10 damage and it can do 100 damage. It's very random. But dual wielding that has helped me. Like I was destroying bosses. My white mage knows holy. My black mage knows flare. So like with the boss that you had to fight, I just did holy, it does 300 damage, and it basically one hit KO'd him, which was funny. That was like the first boss you fight, the Cardinal. And yeah, like I'm enjoying it. I just don't remember it being that difficult that I had to grind in order to beat these bosses. Were you gonna say
Is
something?
yeah,
Mhm.
is Dragoon its own class or is it a leveled up version of a class?
It's a leveled up version of a class. So you have to go, what is it? Warrior? No, I lie. Knight, monk, and then you get dragoon.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's like knight
Because Dragoon
level.
is my class in Final Fantasy 14. I liked it.
Yeah, I
The
like
armor's
dragoon
sick.
too. The only thing I don't like about dragoon is the jump takes a time, like a little bit to do. So the best way to do that is if you increase your speed using metal on Ramza, then you can go ahead and jump a lot faster. Because if not, you have to wait a few turns, and then if they walk away while you're about to jump,
You're
then you
stuck.
miss. Yeah.
Right.
So I was doing that a lot on like the second, not a boss fight, but the second big fight, and I kept missing. I was
And
like,
I
you know
want
what?
you to
Forget
stay
it.
right here because I need to hit you. So stay right there.
Exactly. But yeah, I'm loving Final Fantasy Tactics. The story is definitely a lot darker than I remembered, and I love it. Like it's very
The voice
very
acting peak.
what's up? Oh yeah, voice acting's
The
peak.
voice acting.
Yes, I agree. Voice acting they do a really good job. Some of the like random NPCs are not the best, but like the main characters, both heroes and villains, are great voice actors. The side characters are probably not the best, I would say. But like overall, the whole game and its story, like 10 out of 10. It is really a good game, and the more I play it, the more it reminds me of how good that game was. I just couldn't remember because the last time I played it was 2000 and what, like 4, 5, whenever it came out on PSP. That was the last time I played the game, so over 20 years ago, for sure. And yeah, that's that. All right, let's move on to kind of our main topic of the day, because it's another game that I just started, and that is Pokemon Legends ZA. Pokemon Legends ZA came out today. Brian, you haven't started that at all. I know you said you picked it up.
I did buy it, yeah,
Mm.
but I don't know when I'm gonna get to it. The reviews for it have been, I think, solid. Metacritic is like 8, like that's kind of where it's landed. Like I've
Yeah.
seen a couple like really high ratings, like tens and nines, and I've seen
Hmm.
a couple like high sixes, low sevens. So right now it's pretty much sitting at an 8. So
Yeah.
I am interested in it. I will say that I saw this clip online on Twitter of there's like this scene where there's supposed to be like a band playing or something like that,
Hmm.
and it's just you hear nothing, and people are like, "Why the hell isn't there voice acting in this game yet in 2025?" And I kind of have to agree. I mean, they have all the money in the world, and they have all the resources to make a really robust Pokemon game, and the
Hmm.
fact that they're kind of still hitting back to 1998 with the production value then like it's pretty much the only franchise that could like kind of get away with it in this year 2025 is to go minimalist as Pokemon because it's so popular it'll transcend all that. But I think the next main line game they do, like they have to bring it into this into this decade or whatever.
Yeah. So it's funny. I was on the side that like I didn't care about voice acting. And to an extent, I still don't care about voice acting, but
It adds a lot
Pokemon,
to tactics.
yeah, and Tactics has great voice acting, but if it didn't have
Hmm.
to, like me, like it doesn't bother me. But I will say this: what makes it weird and awkward is there are cutscenes in the game, and the cutscenes are not voice acted. And that makes it kind of weird because you get these nice looking scenes where the character models are doing more than, of course, like what you get in the end game models. And you're like, come on, like this could have been
Say
better
something.
voice acted in this
Yeah.
sense. And that's where I get it. It's kind of like Legend of Dragoon, right? When
Mm.
the beautiful cutscenes came in, it was voice acted. So you actually get the voice acted. At least in Final Fantasy, when there was cutscenes, they didn't really talk. It was just,
Hmm.
a scene or an action and that's it. And then it cuts to the talking. Where Legend Dragoon did it right? When you actually had these big scenes, they voice acted in there. Outside of like the voice lines that they had when they were attacking, like saying double slash and stuff like that. The actual cutscenes were voice acted. But in Pokemon, yeah, that is bothering me a little bit. I've seen already two scenes. I'm like, come on, like if you had voice acting, it would be a little bit better. Outside of that, you know, is what it is. I will say this: I'm impressed. A lot of people were hating on visuals. I think the visuals look great. For what it is, I don't expect it to be amazingly like good, but like it looks better than what Scarlet and Violet was overall. I'm happy with how it's running. It's definitely running at a locked 60 FPS, which is great. The battle system is something that I'm trying to get used to. I do kind of like it, but at the same time, I don't. The controls are kind of like iffy. It's like there is a roll button, but in order for you to roll, you have to unlock off of a Pokemon to roll, and then of course your Pokemon would go ahead and follow. And I don't like that because basically what's happening is you're attacking, right? So let's say you're attacking, and then you go ahead. Whoops, didn't mean to turn on my switch. But if you go ahead to like attack, you have to hold L. So you're holding it. If you want to go ahead and dodge, you have to quickly let go, and then you press the Y button, and then you can run in and dodge. But then when you want to go ahead and
A
attack
lot.
again, you have to go and lock. But you have to pan the camera, look at the Pokemon, lock in, and so forth. And I'm like, oh man, like that it's as of right now, it's kind of bothering me because it's like it's so much to do just for like why not make as of right now R and in was the ZR, they'll do anything in the game. They could easily made the role a ZR or R or something else. But yeah, that's another thing. I get why they couldn't use the face buttons while locked on because that's where your moves are. So, A, B, X, Y are positioned to each move. So if you press A, it does one move. You press B, it does another move, X and Y and so forth. It'll do separate moves. So yeah, I understand that, but you can easily use R or ZR. But story wise, I mean, I don't know the story. I'm only in the beginning of the game, but it is interesting. It's fun. It does get you into the action a lot faster. I do like that about games. I hate when it takes like forever to get into a battle or forever to actually start yourself on the game. I'm at this point where I would agree with you, Bryant, where like how you were complaining about Trails in the Sky, it took forever and there's so much mechanics that just bombarding you with. I I don't care about that stuff. Just throw me in, I'll figure it out on my own. Like, I prefer that. I don't mind if I'm missing out on something. I just wanna go ahead and figure it out on my own, which is why I appreciate Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. You're kinda just thrown in there and they're like, "Hey, good luck." And I love that. I would rather you do that than you give me the Persona, 5 treatment where it's just like, okay, tutorial after tutorial after
I like
tutorial
the
after
Persona 5
tutorial.
treatment. It made me understand it more.
I don't. I was just like, it got to the point where I was just skipping everything. It's like, look, I'll figure it out on my own. Like, I don't care. And there's other games that Persona was the only one that came to my mind. There's a few other games that have done the same thing that I just skipped it, and I was like, I'll figure it out on my own. If I realize I'm in a spot where I probably should have read, then I'll go back and figure it out. But yeah, I do like that it kind of throws you in. We start catching Pokemon. I've already caught a few Pokemon, actually quite a lot. And yeah, I want to continue. I've seen some other like gameplay previews and like people playing the game, and so far they're also enjoying it and they're liking it. Don't know if I would say it's better than Legends Arceus or Arceus, however they changed the name. I forgot they changed the name to something. But anyways, I it's hard because I like the aesthetics of Legends Arceus. It's kind of like old school, like old Japan type of look, and I prefer that, where Pokemon Legends ZA is a sequel to X and Y. So you're back in Luminous City. The characters from X and Y are still there. Some of them are. And they mentioned like the professor is no longer there, but you see pictures of the professor from X and Y, which is pretty cool. Um, what else is there? There's a lot of throwbacks to X and Y, so I'm very interested in what's going on. But as of right now, like I still prefer the setting in Legends Arceus for sure. And we'll see. Some people have said that it's better than Legends Arceus by the time you finish the game. So who knows?
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
If somebody, like, let's say a gamer came to you, I don't know, 20 years old, and
hmm
said, James, I never played a Pokemon game before.
hmm
What game are you telling them to go with?
I would probably say Legends Arceus. Um,
Yeah? Okay.
I think that's the best for like a younger audience or somebody who's never played.
Wait,
Um,
younger is, I guess younger is 20. I guess old we are,
I
sure.
mean, yeah, it's one. It is, because their mindset is totally different. Like if I tell them Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, they're probably like, no. And I would still say after you play that, play all the old Pokemon games because I think they're definitely worth revisiting. Yes, they're turn-based RPGs, so is Legends Arceus, but I do think there's a lot of history in those, and they're fun in their own rights. From being very basic like Blue and Red to you've seen the progression as it goes. So yeah, what's up, Ash? He says he likes figuring out stuff as well. Uh,
Good for you, Ash. You figure out Japan and report back to us. Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, I would probably I think if you're a brand new fan like you, Brian, never played a Pokemon game, or no, I think you said the last Pokemon game you played was what?
Blue. That was,
Blue.
I beat
Okay,
it
the
and I got
original.
Mewtwo and I got the fine I beat the game and everything and I really enjoyed it and then I it was in 6th grade and some people were like, "Hey man, you ever hear of a Game Shark before? You can get the missing no Pokemon and you get infinite Master Balls and all this stuff." I'm like, "Yeah, man, let me try that." And I tried it and it totally corrupted my game save and everything and I never really went back after that cuz I spent so much time in it.
I remember figuring out the non-Game Shark glitch with the missing no, where you would have a Pokemon in the front of your party, and then you go
Mhm.
and find missing no, you capture it, and then when you capture it, you shut off the game, shut it back on, and then it turns into your Pokemon that was in your party. Which is kind of
Mm.
cool. A baby version of that Pokemon. So like if I wanted Squirtle, but I had Blastoise in my party, you would go and you would surf on the edge of Cinnabar Island,
I know what you're talking
up
about.
and
Yep,
down.
it's like a square, and then you
Yep.
just like go up and down, up and down, up and down. Yep, I
Yep.
remember that.
And then Missing No will spawn, you go ahead and capture it. You shut off the game, shut it back on, and when you come back, Missing No turns into like Squirtle, or whatever Pokemon you had at there, which is kind of cool. So like I remember having a bunch of
An
Squirtles.
army of Squirtles.
Exactly. And I would go to school and trade them. Like, hey, I have a bunch of Squirtles. Who wants a Squirtle? And I would trade them for
You're
their
like a drug
Pokemon.
dealer.
Yeah, exactly. The
You want
Squirtle
the
drug
Squirtle
dealer.
kid?
uh,
This one has sunglasses on.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'm excited for more Legends ZA. It has, Mega Evolution back in there, which was my favorite mechanic they added to in X and Y. And of course, they had it in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, which I think was probably the best mechanic that they've added onto in Pokemon. I wasn't a fan of Z moves. I thought, I personally think that, like Sun and Moon weren't that great. Definitely did not like Dynamax. I thought that was lame. That's in Sword and Shield, and I wasn't really a big fan of Terra Pokemon, or what do they call it, Terra something. Whatever the
What
Terra
was the last
moves.
traditional one you liked, would you say?
Traditional one.
Mm. You liked Ruby, didn't you?
Oh
Is
yeah.
that what's the one that came out on Switch?
Um,
Scarlet. You like
Scarlet.
Scarlet, didn't you?
Well, Violet was good. Yeah, like I do like I
Okay.
had Violet. But I liked it. I enjoyed it. It's not as good as the older ones, but I still enjoyed it
Okay, what's your
enough.
favorite older one?
Um, hmm, that's hard. Like, man,
I
I
remember when Blue came out, or after Blue came out, and after Yellow came out and all that, they came out with Gold and Silver. I want to
hmm
say that was the next iteration,
yeah.
and I remember it was on Game Boy Color. I think it was on Game Boy Color. Like, was it one of those ones that was only on Game Boy Color, or could you play it on Game Boy? I think you could play it on Game Boy actually, but
Yeah.
I'm
Pikachu. What's it called? Yellow version. There we go.
no, I'm not talking about Yellow. I'm talking about Gold and Silver.
Oh, Crystal. Yeah, Crystal came out and that was colored only.
Yeah, Crystal came out as color only, but the Gold and Silver that came out before because Crystal was to Gold and Silver what Yellow was to Blue and Red, right?
Yeah.
Where it was kind of like an amalgamation. So
Yeah.
I want to say that Gold and Silver didn't require Game Boy Color. You could still play it on a regular Game Boy,
Correct.
but I remember there was like, wasn't there like day and night cycles? Wasn't there like
Yep.
Pokemon like breeding or something like
Yep.
that too? Like you get like a male and a female Pokemon and stuff. Like there was a bunch of like interesting stuff, but
Yeah.
I just couldn't catch that same magic again after I got so screwed over with Pokemon Blue.
No, I
So I bounced
like,
off.
so in hindsight, I really do enjoy like Gold and Silver, and I do think they're probably one of the best generations because you got to do Johto League, and then you got to go back to Kanto League, which is from the first
That's
games,
right.
and beat them. And I thought that was cool. And they haven't revisited that concept ever again, which is kind of dumb. Like I would love to have,
Seems like an easy home run.
yeah, exactly. Um, but my issue now, and this is my issue as an adult, has nothing to do with the game, is that playing Soul Silver through an emulator, the only time I really get to game is at nighttime because of the day and night cycle. Guess what? It's always nighttime when I'm playing. Therefore, I only can capture whatever Pokemon spawn at night, and I do not like
Nocturnal
that.
ones.
Exactly. X and Y are kind of like that too, if I remember correctly. They have the day and night cycle as well, and I just wasn't like I don't like the day and night cycle anymore, and that's something to do with me as an adult, right? Because then if there's certain Pokemon that spawn only in the day, or like Eevee, for example, if you evolve him during the day, that's how you got Espeon back then. If you evolve him during the night, you got Umbreon. Well, guess what? If I'm always playing at night, that means I can't get Espeon. So that's one that annoyed me. I think if I had to say go back to an older one, it's probably gonna be Black and White and Black and White 2. Now, I haven't played Black
Yes.
and White 2 on DS, correct. But I
Yeah.
have played Black and White, and so far, and what everybody says is Black and White 2 is just better. Black and White 2 is actually a direct sequel to Black and White, and I really enjoyed Black and White. It's actually the first Pokemon game to really have an in-depth story of what is going on in the world, which is funny. So like you all these other Pokemon games is just kind of like, yeah, beat Team Rocket or Team Aqua or whatever the
Catch 'em
big bad
all.
is. Catch, yeah, all the Pokemon and gym leaders. That's it. This one here is like, no, this dude wants like world domination. So you have to fight him. It has like the most amazing final battle theme, I think, of any game. Like I would top it up as on top with like Sephiroth and like Genova's theme. It is that good. It's the only other theme that I know that actually says the main bad guy's name, because there's Sephiroth's theme, of course, that says Sephiroth in it, right? One Winged Angel. No, you have the opera singing Sephiroth. In this one, it has what's his name? Is it? Shoot, what is it? It starts with a G. I don't know what, I can't remember his name now.
For what? In what game?
Black and White, the main bad
Oh,
guy.
I have no idea. Oh, no
But
idea. Oh, is it Giovanni?
no, it's not Giovanni. It's
Okay,
a
because
different
Giovanni
guy.
was in Blue and Red, I remember.
It is. I think his name's like Gets or something like that, or Get It or something. I gotta remember. But anyways, his name is in the theme. And the beginning of the like final battle starts, and it's like these drums just going crazy, and literally it's just all drums, and you just hear drums going and going, and then it stops, and then you just start hearing his name, and it just keeps repeating his name over and over, but it does this like slowly, and it's like an eerie way of saying it, and then the drums come back in, and the drums are just banging. Like I'm telling you, I'm gonna send you the song after this podcast, but you gotta listen to it. I was like, man, the minute I heard this theme, and of course you can also watch it on stream. It's there in on YouTube. You can watch the stream. I was like, no way. I put down the controller. I was like, this is an amazing final boss theme. I've never heard such a good final boss theme. The last one being, you know, I would say like to be on par with this and how epic that is would probably be like One Winged Angel. I would say. Even
Wow.
even Genova's battle theme is good.
Oh, I love
Um,
Genoma's battle theme.
yeah.
Do you remember like the lengths? I don't know how much you this affected you back in the day, but like
Hmm.
before Spotify, before the streaming services, right maybe around the time of like torrents and
Hmm.
um, like I remember being obsessed with video game music. Like I loved
Yeah.
the soundtrack to Final Fantasy VII, and I would go on eBay and buy like the three CD soundtrack or whatever, and I get it. And like this, like the art looked good, but then you look at the bottom of the CD, and they're obviously like CDRs. Like somebody
Yeah.
just ripped this and sold it for $40, and I stopped buying those on eBay because it was back in the Wild West when nobody cared and kids didn't know and I didn't know, but it was just such like a big deal to listen to game music, and
Yeah.
it's just so ubiquitous now where you can listen to any Final Fantasy soundtrack as much as you want on streaming services. You
Hmm.
can buy them digitally, you can buy them physically from the official stores. You can buy a lot of that stuff physically and not get not get ripped versions like I did back in the day. I just think it's cool, like to kind of just like step back and appreciate like how easily accessible so much of this stuff is now.
Yeah, I agree. I was one of those that found out, at least through with PS1 games, on how to rip the music out of the CDs
Mm.
by going into the file and able to actually, like, if you put the disc in your PC, because I was an experimental kid, I was like, oh, well, this fits in there. I wonder what that does, right? So I put the PS1 game in my PC, got it in the disk drive, and then I was able to open up files and see, oh, there's some audio files in here. And then I would research like how to open up these audio files. And I think I use is it maybe it was like WinWave or something like that? I was like, it's something Wave. I remember using that application. I was able to rip the music that way. And yeah, and then I burned CDs of I had Final Fantasy 8, Chrono Cross, Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy
Mhm.
9 music. And then after that I met a friend and they would give me like they had other like Final Fantasy and like other RPG music. I don't know how they got those, but they would just give them to me, which was kind of cool. But like Nintendo soundtracks, if I wanted to listen to from Metroid, Super Metroid, what's the name of the song? Lower
From Super
Brinstar.
Metroid.
Yeah, Super Metroid, Lower Brinstar.
Okay, is it the wait? Hold on a second. Um, is it the one that's like do 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 do? Or which
No,
one is
not
it?
that one. Lower Brinstar was it's the one that's also in it's in Metroid Dread as well. It's the Chozo's theme. Every time the Chozo comes out, it plays. Um it was also in Metroid Samus Returns on 3DS. It was the water level. It's always like a watery level. It's also in Metroid Prime 2 as the water level
Because
there.
Brinstar isn't the water level in Super Metroid, isn't it's because Meridia is the water level in Super Metroid.
Mm,
Don't you dare question my Super Metroid knowledge,
hold
James.
on, because the name of the song is Lower Brinstar. Oh shoot, I
That's
did
entirely
this.
possible, but that's not the water area.
Yeah, let me see.
I mean, when I think of Brinstar, like I think of that the ones like do 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 that one. I don't know if that's
Oh,
Lower
I know
Brinstar,
which one you're
or is it the
talking
one that's
about.
like, or is it the one that's like do 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 do
Yes, that
do
one.
ah
Yeah,
ah
it's called
that one
Underground. It's just called
ah
Brinstar in Super
ah.
Metroid.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
same thing. Yeah, it's
I
called.
love that song. Is
So
that the one you're thinking of? The one that's like
yes,
yeah, that dude,
yeah,
that song, man, and in Super Metroid, you hear it when it's so ingrained in my memory, but it's like you I want to say it's after you beat Kraid and you like exit through and then you're in this
yep,
long vertical tunnel going down and it has that like purple pillar going down and that music and that scene and how you're so desolate and stuff like it gives me goosebumps to think about because it's just really impressive to think about the limited amount of resources that they had back in 94 95 whatever Metroid Super Metroid came out and how it just that game just so expertly just threads the needle of a mood and a feeling of
yeah,
when you're playing that game even though it's so like quaint, now in
yeah.
2025. But even playing it now, it's like I throw that on the big screen, put my headphones on, and I'm right back there, man. Like that game is so impressive.
A lot of Super Nintendo games, I feel like, have
Mhm.
that impact of any game, like Donkey Kong Country. You can go back to those a lot of those themes, and
Oh yeah,
they still hold up. Chrono
oh
Trigger,
yeah,
we've talked about it plenty of times on the
oh yeah,
podcast. Chrono Trigger music just holds up
oh
remarkably
yeah.
well. Chrono Trigger itself holds up well, but like Super Mario RPG, like comparing the OG to even the remix music, not much has really changed except for they added more real instruments. But other than that, like
Right.
just the Super Nintendo sound is still amazing for that game. And of course, Super Mario World, Kirby. There's a lot of themes. F Zero,
So much good stuff. Star Fox,
yeah, Star Fox. Like a lot of it still holds up. And
Final
going back
Fantasy.
to Pokemon, I feel the same way about Pokemon. When I really look at it, I think Pokemon music peaked at Diamond and Pearl, and then after that, it slowly went downhill. Where each one would have maybe a few bangers, but after that it was kind of like, eh. And then the Switch era, so Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet. I do not like any of those soundtracks to the same extent. There's maybe a total of handful, maybe 2 or 3 songs in Sword and Shield, or not Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet that I like. Sword and Shield, I don't like any of the songs. Like I think they're all bad. And I would continue to I would challenge anybody, but I think they're all bad. Um, Legends Arceus has a good soundtrack, but the only reason why is because most of the soundtracks are remix versions from Diamond and Pearl. So I don't count that because it's still DS music. There's a few out there that are like original, like the volcano area is original, and when you listen to it, it does not feel like a Pokemon song at all. It feels like a Zelda song, but it's still a really good song. But ZA goes back to 3DS era, which I would say 3DS does have some pretty decent songs. There was quite a few ones that I really liked. I do want to give a shout out to somebody that I used to watch a lot of his videos. Not sure if anybody here has heard, and I say in here, I'm talking about anybody in chat or watching this video or listening to it on, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you ever heard of Insane in the Rain, he is a YouTuber, or was a YouTuber rather, that did a lot of Pokemon remixes. Used to listen to him a lot the past like 5 or 6 years, and then he stopped. Didn't do anything for a few years. Came back a little bit, did a few, and then that's about it. Well, he grew up, and I think he was like in high school when he started doing this, doing remixes to Pokemon. He is now the person who rearranged a lot of the songs in Legend ZA. And for those of you who've heard his music, because he would do like jazz remixes, he got to the point where
Wait, didn't he tweet about that today? He
he did
tweeted
tweet it
that today,
about that
didn't he?
today.
I saw that went
Yes.
viral.
Yeah, because a lot of people remember him. Yeah, Ash says he's still listens to him. Yeah, I love listening to him. He has amazing remixes. I remember he did the whole Sinnoh collection because that's his favorite Pokemon game, which is Diamond and Pearl, which I do think has probably the best soundtrack of any Pokemon game. I would argue with that as well. And he did like remixes of every song in that game, and he had like other people kind of perform with him. So it wasn't just him playing. He had basically a whole orchestra redo all these remixes, which was kind of pretty cool. And he is now arranging Pokemon music, and I think that is awesome. Like to be able to do come from that to now doing this is pretty
It's a
cool.
dream.
It is a dream, right? To be able to, this is the stuff you loved growing up, and now you're doing that. That's pretty awesome. But you can tell right away, Luminal City, which is the main theme you will hear, that's the town. He remixed that, and right away you can tell, like now it clicked because the minute he said, "Oh, I remixed the music," it's like it makes sense. That's why it has the jazzy feel to it. A lot of the songs have a jazzy feel to it. Some of the songs have a nice, um, kind of like old school vibe to it, which I really like. And I'm glad they're going back to that direction because I do not like the techno aspect that they were going with in Sword and Shield or Scarlet and Violet. It's just, it kind of lost its touch. I want like old school, Pokemon music. But yeah, that's Pokemon Legends ZA. We'll end that talk there. I highly recommend playing it. Try it out. Next week, I'll be back with some more thoughts on it. So far, I'm liking it. Yeah, give it a try yourself. I think you might enjoy it, and I think Brian, yeah, I think you're gonna enjoy it whenever you give it a try, especially the music. You will love the music in that game because so far,
Nice.
every song I've heard, I really
Banger.
like. Yes, there hasn't been one song yet, and I've probably heard maybe a good 9 tracks. So yeah. All right. While we're on the topic of Pokemon, I do want to discuss some of the leaks that have come out. And of course, I won't be showing you any leaks. Funny thing is, a lot of those leaks have been taken down. Pokemon Company itself has taken down some of the leaks, but I think it's something that I do want to mention because it's actually got me excited for the future of Pokemon. A lot of people feel that Pokemon has been stale or they want something else. And I agree. I don't think Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet left a good taste in people's mouths when it comes to Pokemon. I think they're just kind of like, even though I enjoyed Violet a lot, it doesn't hold up to like Black and White and before that, right? Those older games I thought were way better. X and Y, actually, I'll say X and Y and before that because I really enjoyed X and Y as well. So that was one thing that was missing from me, and I was just like, eh. I remember talking to a fan. I asked Fan if he was gonna buy the game. He's like, no. He's like, he's been burnt out because he wasn't that much of a fan of Violet, and he didn't like Sword and Shield either. And a lot of people were really feeling that. Legends Arceus was like the last good one that a lot of people really like, and that's because it was something different. But these leaks have got me very, very excited. So this is from Central Leaks. It says starting in 2025, 2026, we do know that Mega Dimensions, which is DLC, will be coming out, right? Pokemon Company already announced that. In 2026, Gen 10 will be coming out. That is codename Gaia. And I think that is huge. I'll go ahead more into Gaia later on. In 2027 or in 2027, the Gaia DLC will be out, and then 2027 through 2028, a game named Codename Ringo, which is Legends Galar, which I am not excited about because I just said I don't like Sword and Shield, and that's going to be based in the region of Sword and Shield. But I guess they have a chance to redeem at least the lore of Sword and Shield there. 2028, 2029, there is a game called Codename Seed. This has to do with something that I was talking to Brian about. And that is, this game will be an online multiplayer, multi-region game that will feature Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, Sinnoh, and Kitakami. Kitakami was DLC in Scarlet and Violet. And I was just mentioning, why don't they do a game that has multiple regions? Like, you can do it. Do it. Well, according to this leak, 2028 and 2029 will be the year where this game will come out. They're saying that it's going to be closer to like an MMO, which is funny because years ago, and I think it's still around, there was a game called Poke MMO, which was basically an MMO version of Pokemon. It used the Game Boy Advance graphic style. And it basically allowed you to choose multiple regions. At least when I played it, it allows you to choose between Kanto, Johto, and Hoenn. And then you can start in whatever region, you get your starter, you go through there, and you can travel to the different regions, fighting the gym leaders and so forth. And it was, semi MMO. You can see other players running around, getting into battles, and all that other cool stuff. But this is gonna pretty much be like that, except that it's gonna look better. Now, there's also another leak that this is Pokemon Legends ZA is the last game that's using the game engine that was used in 3DS. So the engine that was being used right now is the same game engine they use all the way back to X and Y, which is why the graphics really couldn't get better. So they develop a brand new game engine, and they do have previews, which, like I said, I am not going to show, but there was preview images of the game engine and of their beta testing of the engine. And if a Pokemon game looks this good, the games are going to look amazing from now on, because it was definitely very detailed and has me excited for what the future of Pokemon can be. Again, I am not going to show you those images, but you can go ahead and look at Central Leaks, and if they're still available, you'll be able to see it. There is a lot of stuff like I'm looking at right now. There's stuff there's saying media not displayed because he got DMCA'd for a lot of the Pokemon stuff. But yeah, more information on Pokemon Gen 10 is it's an open world with MMO elements, island exploration, and underwater exploration. Like Breath of the Wild, you can go to the final boss early, seed Pokemon given at the start. The evolution for the seed Pokemon will be procedurally generated, so it will be slightly different for every player. 18 challenges, one for each type, mix of gyms, and boss Pokemon, which sounds pretty cool. And then let me see. I'm trying to see. There's something else here regarding that. Um. Okay. The other thing was they had what was originally the concept for Pokemon Legends 2, which turned out to be Pokemon Legends ZA. But the original concept of that game was Pokemon Legends 2 was originally going to be set in Johto and be released in two versions, Pokemon Legends Ho-Oh and Lugia, which were leaked in 2020, which a lot of people also had heard that. And I remember rumors going way back then that there was a Pokemon Legends Ho and Lugia for a while. But yeah, that was leaked in 2020, planning document from Game Freak. It would have taken place in the past and centered on the origins of Pokemon trainers, which I think is pretty cool. And then they have like concept documents there, and it shows off like you being in the past. It would show kind of the creation, I would assume, of the three legendary dogs, right? Entei, Raikou, and what was the other one? Suicune, which is kind of cool. And it being in Johto would be pretty nice because that's like classic Japanese, right? So it's very, very. I think if I remember correctly, it's based off of Kyoto, so it would be like the Kyoto aesthetic there. But yeah, what do- what do you think about that? Right, and all these leaks. I know you're not the biggest Pokemon fan, but like, would a Pokemon MMO kind of entice you to try out another version of Pokemon?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I mean, you just kind of got to denounce the leaks just because I think it's really crappy that this is how they.
Hmm.
Because I'm pretty sure it was a phishing thing, like somebody got phished or something, and
Yeah.
then all this data got leaked. So it's really unfortunate, and I hate that this has been propagated out there, and I'm glad that stuff's getting taken down, just because I think that Game Freak has done enough goodwill in making all these games, and like I know I was just saying about how I feel like they kind of owe it to fans to make something
Hmm.
like truly next gen, and I stand by that. But at the same time, I mean, it's a I'd assume $1 billion property in its lifetime. Pokemon, I'd assume.
Yeah.
As far as how much money it's made, all the the anime, the video games, the merchandise, music, everything. Like there's so much there, and I just feel like it deserves to get revealed when they're ready to reveal it. And I just really don't like stuff like this because it's a lot of people put a lot of hard work into doing this,
Hmm.
and they should be able to reveal it when they want. And it sucks that it gets released like that. Now, with all that being said, I am excited that based on the sounds of what I've heard about this, and I think I've seen a screenshot on Twitter or something like that. Um, it does look really beautiful, and I fully intend, not fully intend, I fully expect that it's going to only get better from between now and when these things finally come out. Um, yeah, I mean, the game deserves a reboot. Like they should have
Hmm.
like a the game is just called Pokemon, and the I'm trying to think of like a dichotomy they haven't done yet. Like okay, gold and silver, sun and moon, black and white, sword and shield. Like what's one they haven't done yet? Like they did like fire red and leaf
Yeah.
green. Like could you do like come on, help me think of like light and dark, but that's kind of like black and white. I don't know. There has to be some dichotomy left that they haven't touched yet. That
Yeah.
would be really cool if they like rebooted Pokemon to the current generation of
Space
consoles.
and
And
Earth.
sure, yeah, something like that. Um, consciousness, Pokemon conscious, Pokemon unconscious. I don't know,
Yes.
but yeah. So cool for them. When it comes out, I'm sure it's gonna just make boatloads of money when there is like an official Pokemon game out that reflects the times as opposed to kind of holding on to the vestiges of 1998. But yeah, we'll see what happens when they come out. But yeah, cool.
Yeah, I mean, I agree to an extent. Like, leaks kind of suck, right? Like, even though I can get hyped about leaks, and like this has got me more excited for the future of Pokemon, that I can't wait to see it. But it kind of sucks for these companies that are hoping to keep things under wraps, right? And hoping to get even more excitement from when they show off something. What would you hope would be amazing, right? You know, I would honestly say that back then, if they were to say, "Hey, a new generation of Pokemon's coming," I would be excited, but at the same time, I would be worried because previous Pokemons have just been kind of meh. But now seeing these leaks, I'm definitely more excited to see what was it Pokemon Wind and Wave have to offer next year, right? 2026. Yeah, next year's 2026. Wow. Um, so that's something that I'm excited to
Wait,
see. And
hold on a second. Let's think about this. Pokemon is about to be 30 years old. Is my math correct? 1998? Like we're not too far
yeah,
off,
we're not
right?
too far off.
27 years right
Yeah,
now. Wow.
it's very,
That makes me
very, very
feel
soon.
sick to my stomach.
Hey, I mean, Mario's even older than that, right? And every time
Yeah,
we
but
see,
Mario feels like it should be old because Mario's like the first video. I mean, it's not the first video game, but it's like the first major console success story, Nintendo. Like that. That feels
yeah,
like it should be old. But Pokemon, I remember being 11 and the Saturday morning cartoon coming and getting so
yeah,
into it, the poker rap and the theme song in the beginning, and waking up at like 6 in the morning to videotape it, or sometimes I could
yeah,
catch it between like sleeping before going to school and getting up and brushing my teeth and getting dressed and stuff, and bringing my Game Boy to school and trading with the kids and battling with them until
yep,
eventually like my school said you can't do that anymore, and in the Pokemon cards and It's just hard to believe that it's been almost 30 years since that came to America, and how that makes up, there's so much more of my life that has lived with Pokemon existing than not existing. And I guess that's just kind of crazy to think about sometimes.
Did you ever? So do you remember the Pokemon anime episodes? Pretty good.
Like the first season, yeah.
Do you remember the episode of the SS Anne, like the ship that they were on?
Ye is it maybe. I
Well,
think I
it's
remember that.
yeah, it's a few episodes. So they go on the ship, and which is the
Okay, isn't that
SS
with like
Anne.
when Magikarp evolves into like Gyarados or something like that? Like
Yes,
something crazy happens.
and
Okay,
it
yeah, that sounds like familiar.
So I remember having a nightmare of basically that same scenario where a ship capsized, and I think it has to do between me watching that and then watching the Titanic around the same time. So like they have like a correlation there. And the Titanic's about a ship that sinks and everything like that. And the SS Anne story is the same thing, except that a Gyarados basically attacks it, and the ship gets flipped upside down, right? And they're trying to escape, and they have to go and like swim and navigate out of the ship so they can finally get out. But I remember having a nightmare of the same thing. I was like, man, ever since then, I was like, I'm never going on a cruise. Like, forget that. Like,
For
nah,
a multitude of reasons, now
yes,
includes Gyarados attacks.
exactly. Like a random Gyarados. I don't want to be the one to discover that species, right?
Yeah,
But yeah, I just thought I'd bring that up because you mentioned the anime. I was like, yeah, I remember that
I
specifically. Every
love
time I
that
think of
show,
Pokemon
man.
anime, I think of that
Yeah.
episode specifically.
The one that is engraved in my head of that show is Bye Bye Butterfree. Made me
Mm,
sob my eyes out
yeah,
so bad when I was a kid. Like, because it does the stupid thing with the music, and then it
yeah,
shows like flashbacks of him catching the Caterpie and saying goodbye, and he's
yeah,
crying. Oh, dude, don't. That's rough when you're 11 or 12, and that's the biggest heartbreak you can have at 11 or 12 is
yeah.
Bye Bye Butterfree and all the rest.
I remember that episode because a lot of us were talking
Mm.
about it in school, and I think a lot of us were sad. And then, because it was in fourth grade, I want to say when that came out.
For
And we
you,
went to
yeah.
class, and like teachers like, why is everybody so sad? It's like Butterfree's gone, and they're like, what's a Butterfree? And having to explain, and the teacher was trying to understand like what Pokemon was and stuff like that. So that's funny. Um,
You know what else irritated me too?
mhm,
Was Charmander was my Pokemon. Like that's who I chose when I got Pokemon
mhm,
Blue. Is Charmander was my starter, and I was obsessed with Charmander and Charmeleon and
yeah,
Charizard and all that. And I loved Charmander on the original Pokemon series. And I just remembered that when season 2 started and Charmander evolved into Charmeleon, he was a
Charmeleon, yeah,
jackass.
yep,
Yeah, he was like he didn't listen to Ash, and he was just a big jerk. And that's like, dude, why'd you do that? Because I don't know what ended up happening if he ended up going to Charizard and being cool with Ash eventually, but I just remember that always irritated me that he was just like this big jerk, and like Charmander was such a sweet boy and he was so nice to Ash, and now he's just like, I'm a teenager and I'm not listening to you. I'm gonna fry your hair off and
yeah.
stuff. It's like, dude, you're lame. Like, go just stay in the Pokeball.
He
Anyway,
he did end up turning into Charizard, and he still was a jerk.
was he
But
really?
yeah, he only came
That's
out
a
like when he
bummer,
wanted to fight, which was they made
dude.
it there. So like if it was a tough opponent, he would come out and do the fighting. Um, but it did get to a point where I guess Ash won respect for him. So I
Hmm.
forgot what season it was, but in a later season, Charizard comes back to him to use, and he uses Charizard. I don't remember exactly when, but I thought that was the coolest thing because I remember I dropped off watching Pokemon, and then somebody had mentioned like, "Oh, Charizard is back! Like Ash is using Charizard." I was like, "Are you serious?" So then I wanted to go back and see, and basically he had used like some Pokemon that he had from previous seasons to go ahead and fight like some like tournament or something like that. And I'm like, all right,
Hmm.
that's pretty cool that they kind of did that. And they did have I think in the farewell of Ash, like when he was saying bye, like when Ash's character got retired, which was what like a
Hmm.
year or two ago,
A couple
they
years
did had
ago, yeah.
another episode that they brought back Charizard too, which was kind of cool.
Nice.
But yeah, in the end,
In
he
the
he won respect.
in the original series, Ash chooses Pikachu, obviously, because that's like the
Hmm.
whole basis. It's unlike Blue and Red because you can't choose Pikachu in Blue and Red. In Yellow,
Yeah,
you do, but in Blue and Red, you can't. Who does Gary get? Do you remember in
Eevee.
the original series?
Oh, you
He
talking
gets
about
Eevee
in like the anime?
in the anime, yeah.
Oh, that I don't know. That's a good question. I don't remember. I think he had like Nido King. Like
That's who
he
he
had
got in the
some
beginning.
yeah, he had some like random Needle King or something like that, or
Random one,
Nidorino.
okay. Because I remember in the game, he always gets the opposite of yours. Like
Hmm.
he gets your weakness. So if you pick Charmander, he gets Squirtle. If you pick
Yeah.
Bulbasaur, he gets um, Charmander, and et cetera, et cetera.
Or it might
So
have
I
been
just always
Growlithe
remember that.
actually. Um,
Who?
Growlithe.
Oh, Growlithe? Yeah,
Yeah.
that actually sounds kind of right. He's like that tiger looking one, right?
Yeah,
Kind of.
he's a dog that has like tiger stripes on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up, Jesse? Jesse says during Gold and Silver anime. So that's when Charizard came back. So it was the Gold and Silver
Okay.
anime, which was kind of cool. And yeah, in that anime, he did listen to Ash, which was kind of
Good. I'm
cool.
glad there was some uh not retribution. What's the word I'm looking for? Some reconciliation.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep. But yeah, going back to the leaks, like I was mentioning, yeah, it kind of sucks that this stuff got leaked, but it does have me a lot more excited. One thing that was also said on the leaks, it has to do with what we were talking about earlier, where I felt that the older era, right, like mainly Black and White, and before that were probably the best games. And I'll include X and Y because I really enjoy X and Y. Junichi Masuda, who was the director basically all the way up until X and Y, was banned from directing Pokemon games. So apparently, it says the era of Masuda was absolute dominance. Masuda alone handled development planning, personal decisions, public relations, and game design up through Black and White. Which is funny because I said black and white, right? That's kind of like the end of that era. It was an era where no one could oppose him. However, this led to a concentration of power, and the organization began to run out of control. In personal matters, unnecessary people and favorites emerged. The game's content shifted from being focused on fun to being driven by PR. They could no longer do proper game design. Various problems arose, and during the development of X and Y, Masuda got into an argument with Sugimori, resulting in a decision that he would no longer be allowed to direct from then on. So I kind of like really is in par with where Pokemon has gone, right? It went less about game design and more about, hey, how are we going to market it, right? And it seems that that was the issue. And then eventually they just went away and kind of got rid of Masuda because Pokemon Company wanted to go into a different direction. Which I mean, he is the creator of Pokemon, right? He it was everything was his idea. All game design, which I say I go back, I really enjoyed Black and White, and then X and Y as well, which I said was the last good one. All of that was his era, and that kind of was done. And I thought it was kind of some interesting information because a lot of people were saying the same thing that when you hear people's favorites, they're never saying Sword and Shield. There's few people that say Sun and Moon. Um, I think you're crazy, but like, cause I don't think Sun and Moon was that great. But like a lot of people
How
will
about
tell you, like,
Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon? Same thing.
same thing, yeah.
Okay.
Um, but like, yeah, Sword and Shield was not good. Scarlet and Violet, a little bit better, right? I enjoy Scarlet and Violet. Um, but like
So
Black
your
and
golden
White,
era is Game Boy. Is it's
I would say
blue and
DS is
red.
probably the
So
peak era
DS
for
is okay.
Pokemon. Yeah, as much as I have a lot of nostalgia for Red and Blue, Golden, well,
Gold and
mainly
silver.
Blue, Gold and
Mhm.
Silver, right? Even Ruby and Sapphire. Like Ruby and Sapphire was my favorite until I played Diamond and Pearl because I really liked Ruby and Sapphire. It did a lot of cool things. Diamond and Pearl is probably my favorite, but I think part of it is because the music is just so good. I think that's why. But Black and White overall is a better game, and it has a better story. I and Diamond and Pearl has its own issues too. Like the Pokemon in it, I feel like are just kind of like there's no fire Pokemon if you play Diamond and Pearl, which kind of sucks. They kind of fixed that in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and Platinum as well. Kind of fixed that, but in the OG game, there's like no fire Pokemon. So if you don't start with a fire Pokemon, you kind of like suck basically.
Hmm.
But you can get fire Pokemon by trading and stuff like that. But yeah, anyways, yeah, that's that thing. But Ruby and Sapphire I also really like part of it again because the music has really good music, but I also like the environment and everything that is going on there. So yeah, I think it's very interesting when it comes to these leaks, and it kind of like confirms what I was already thinking in the sense that something weird happened after X and Y. I don't know what it was, but that's when they started experimenting. They went Z moves and no gym leaders, and then like Dynamax, they just started doing all these weird things that I just wasn't a fan of. Huh. But yeah, that's pretty much it on the topic of Pokemon. We've talked a lot about Pokemon today. We
And it's so
do.
funny because I really haven't even played a Pokemon game hardcore since like 1999, 1998.
Yep. One last bit while we're on the topic of Nintendo. You did mention and you showed this. Seems like there is a patent for Nintendo DS content coming to Nintendo Switch
Can't believe
2.
we're talking about this without Fan being here.
I know, right? Because he's the biggest one that's been
Hmm.
wanting that to happen. What do you think about that?
I think it's awesome. I didn't actually read the article, to be honest,
Hmm.
so I don't know like what it incorporated as far as like how the second screen piece would work or whatever. So, what does it say? I just saw it and I just like, oh, fan will love this, so I put it on.
Yeah, so I mean, it just shows really some of the patents, right? So one of them shows a single screen mode, right, where it's basically the whole screen, and then the bottom right is like your second screen,
Okay.
which I'm not a fan of that setup. But then
Yeah.
there's
How do you do
one.
touch then?
Say it again.
How do you do touch then if the screen's that small?
I have no clue. And that
Yeah.
you would have probably had to use like the right thumbstick and then, do things like that, I would assume. But then that would leave some games out that require touch.
Right.
But apparently, yeah, there's more patents that show basically how the different ways you can operate the second screen, showing like, if you have two screens put together, uh if you have two switches on top of each other is another patent, or like a what looks like a second screen. One of them is being able to use like kind of like what's it called? Game chat, or not game chat, game share, to be able to
Mm.
use that to have a second screen. So if you had two switches lying around, you can use that as a second screen, which I
Man,
don't think
that's just
anybody's gonna
like
do that.
stacking up people to buy another console. Dude, I want to emulate my DS games, man.
Yeah.
I'll buy another $500, no problem.
Yeah. So there's quite a lot of like things they have going on there, which is kind of cool. There's another patent that shows like a second screen being able to be on top. There's some pretty cool like patents here that they're showing off on how to do two screen gaming. And yeah, that's really
I mean,
what
it's
they.
cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really good DS games out there that haven't
Mhm.
been remade or remastered or whatever that need to come forward. Like, I think that The World Ends with You would be cool to have in a more touch-friendly way rather than like the ports that have been done for it.
Mhm.
Okami Den. I mean, you have that new Okami game
I
that's going to
just
come
don't
out in
think
like
it'd
15
be the
years.
same though, because those games you really needed a stylus, and you won't be able to really use a stylus with the Switch. Like this, the display it had, it's kind of like, how can I put it? Like you have an Apple Pencil, right? Or no?
I used to.
Oh, you used to. Okay, it's kind of like the feel of that, like how it just works basically. And that's how the stylus was. Like you would tap on it and it just does this thing. Like emulators have tried to like recreate that feel, and it's just not the same, in my opinion, at least. Even though touchscreen
Hmm.
technology is way better than it was back then, it just still doesn't feel the same because of the way it just worked, like the way that display functioned.
I just know that I mean Konami did a really good job bringing those DS
The DS
Castlevania
ones, yeah.
games out. So if maybe that could kind of be the blueprint of what they go with for some of those things. Like I mean,
Yeah.
you can name probably 10 games that would be really cool if they got re-released on DS. Like it's not
Can
my favorite system or anything, but
I was gonna say, did you buy that collection on Switch, or did you buy that like on PS5 or PC?
well, I bought it on everything, baby. It's
On everything?
Castlevania that I'm quadrupling on. You betcha.
Okay. Did you try it out to see on Switch if it had touchscreen at all, or no?
No,
No, okay. Because like the Mega
I
Man.
think it does though. I thought
Okay.
I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, double check that, because I know the Mega Man Zero and ZX collection, right? ZX for DS games, that doesn't have any touchscreen input, but it does the same thing where you can have four different viewing modes. You have one where you have the giant screen, and then on the bottom, I think it's the bottom right, you have the small screen. You can have it so that it overlaps, or you can have it so it's side by side. And then there's one more which I forgot what it was, but like they did
Uh,
a pretty decent job for DS gaming as well.
It says, according to Google, yes, the Castlevania DS collection on Switch uses touch controls in handheld mode, but you can also play with them with using button prompts or the right analog stick. And then going
Hmm,
through Reddit, it says you can use the touch screen. So that's cool that that
okay.
exists.
That's pretty awesome. I didn't do that for the ZX series and the Legend and the Mega Man Legend. Oh, Mega Man Legacy Collection of those games. But yeah, I think it's awesome. Like the DS is one of those things that I feel It has a lot of good games. Final Fantasy Tactics A2, I feel like needs
Oh
to
yeah.
be shared. That was a great game.
Hmm.
The Final Fantasy 4 remakes and Final Fantasy 3 remakes were really good. They had voice acting in it, right? Which for a DS game, that's pretty good to have voice acting.
Hopefully those
Um,
Tactics sales will bring those games out because
yeah,
apparently Tactics is doing pretty good sales wise.
hopefully that'd be nice. I mean, you can definitely put Tactics Advance on Nintendo
Advance,
Switch
yeah.
Online, right? Like,
That
why
game was
not?
so cool.
It was starting off with a snowball fight.
Yeah, it's like modern, but then it goes back. Like it's very interesting. It's a very
Yep.
cool concept.
And then what else was on DS? There was another game I was going to mention and I completely forgot. Uh
Okamiden is on DS
Okamiden.
only. There's like a couple of Yoshi there's like a Yoshi's Island game on
Yeah.
DS exclusively that you play as like multiple babies.
Yeah.
Um,
Yoshi's New
what
Island,
else?
I think it
Is
was
that what
called.
it's called? Yoshi's New Island?
Oh, no, I think it was Yoshi's
No, it's
Island
Yoshi on
DS.
DL. Isn't it Yoshi on
Yeah,
DS?
Yoshi's New
DS, yeah.
Island was on 3DS, I
Was the
believe.
3DS, yeah.
Yeah.
Meteos.
Hmm.
Was it a Pokemon Puzzle League 2 on DS too?
Pokemon
That would be kind of
Troze
cool.
was on DS.
Yeah.
Pokemon Puzzle Challenge was on Game
Mhm.
Boy, which that needs to be on the
Yeah.
Game Boy for Nintendo Switch Online. Final Fantasy Crystal
Um,
Chronicles. There was Crystal Chronicles Rings of Fate,
you
which
get that
was really good.
remaster already though.
Well, no, these are different. So there's
Oh, they're
Rings of
different?
Fate. Yeah, Rings of Fate, totally different game. Amazing. And then you have Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. Um, shoot, I forgot what that one's called. Like some Edge of Time or something like that. It has something to do with time. That one was kind of cool because they brought back the multiplayer mechanic where you create your own character. You create like you got a job class and you go through it. That was actually a game that we were trying to figure out how to do a group stream for. So, but the way to do it is you have to have basically I would be the host PC. I would have to open up like 3 or 4 different emulators, and then everybody would have to like kind of get into my PC to control each different emulator. It was going to be a hassle to do, so which is why we haven't done a stream of that. But that's a good game that I would recommend. That was also available on Wii as well. And if you had the DS or the Wii version, you could play together, whether it's online or locally, which was kind of cool. But yeah, I do recommend playing that. What else? I mean, the Pokemon games,
Um,
Diamond and Pearl,
yeah.
Black and White 2.
Oh, the Zelda game Spirit Tracks and
Oh yeah,
Phantom Hourglass.
yep, I have those.
Oh,
They're okay
Tetris
games.
DS, one of the best versions of Tetris there
Yeah.
is solid. The Chrono Trigger
Oh yeah,
port is arguably one of the best Chrono Trigger ports.
that's true. Yeah, and it has
There's a
added
Golden
content.
Sun game, which
Oh yeah,
isn't great
Golden Sun.
apparently, but yeah.
It was good. I'm enjoying it. I was
Um,
playing that on my it's crazy. Where's my Retro Pocket? Because I have a lot of games downloaded on DS there that I'm pretty sure that I'm missing. Fire Emblem. I don't know how I could miss Fire
oh
Emblem.
yeah, there you go. Oh yeah, Awake. Well,
No, Shadow
Awakening was on
Dragon.
3DS.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Shadow Dragon was the remake of the first Fire Emblem game.
Okay.
Um, hmm. There's a lot of DS games. Anyways, definitely something that I feel like should come out because I do think the DS deserves to be playable. It's one of those things that I felt like for a while that 3DS and DS is not going to be playable because it's so hard to reproduce the dual screen mechanics. The Wii U was probably the last chance we had at being able to do that. And unless Nintendo can figure out a way to give us like Wii U style gameplay where you can do a second screen, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But with things like the Retro Pocket being able to add in a second screen, right? Or even handheld PCs able to have a second screen on top, I don't see why Nintendo couldn't do that same concept in some way, shape, or form. So very interesting. All right, our last topic of the day. Some sad news.
Hey, before we
Unfortunately,
before we
yeah.
get on to the sad topic, give me 1 second. Just veg for a second. I'll be right back. Hang on.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah.
Just like read an article out loud or something. I'll be right back.
All right. I guess I'll continue discussing some stuff before we get into the sad topic because yeah, we'll be ending the podcast with this topic, which is something that fortunately sad news, but I'll wait till Bryant to come back. In the meantime, I highly do recommend playing Pokemon Legends ZA, like I mentioned earlier. I do think it's got potential. It's definitely got potential so far where I'm at in the beginning. The different battle style is very reminiscent of Xenoblade Chronicles to an extent. It's a little bit faster pace where your, I guess, I don't, what would you call it? Your cooldown is a little bit quicker depending on the moves. And I do like that. The mechanics of fighting overall probably have some getting used to, but for the most part, it's doable. The world seems pretty interesting, like the exploration. As of now, I didn't know what I was gonna feel when playing this game because you don't have the big explorations you had in Legends Arceus, and I still feel that exploration is probably not gonna be the best. But so far, I've been going through like every little alley and trying to find like different items. So again, there is potential. We just gotta wait and see because I still don't know how a game that's set in just one town can be that good. Like that's my thing with all these 9 and 10s coming out. I just don't know if it's a 9 or 10 yet. So definitely by next week I'll have more to share. But as of right now, I don't know. I do wanna continue playing though and seeing where that goes from there. Let me see if I can find some more small news while we wait for Bryant. Mm, there's quite a few games coming out later on as well. That is something to mention. You do have Dragon Quest coming out later on this year, I believe next week, if I remember correctly.
I'm
We
back.
also have welcome back. There's also Persona 3 Reload that comes out this month, which
I'll get that when it goes on sale.
yeah, so I feel like the only thing I couldn't find about that game is it coming with the DLC or not? I thought I read somewhere that the DLC is also separate, but I can't find any like actual answers of if it's coming with DLC or not. So yeah. Anyways, let's get into this last topic of the day. That's sad news, unfortunately. And that is the creator of Dead or Alive in Ninja Gaiden has passed away. In Ninja Gaiden 2004, to be exact, not the original NES era games. And that is Tomonobu Itagaki, unfortunately, has passed away. It's kind of sad because like both of those games were great games. Dead or Alive specifically for me was kind of huge. I remember playing so in the Dreamcast era when we got the Dreamcast. I think we only had like a few games, and there was a demo disc. I think I got it from like a magazine or something because that's usually how you got demo discs, right? It's from magazines. And in the magazine, there was this Dead or Alive game. I was like, okay, what is this? It was Dead or Alive 2 specifically. I was like, what is this game? I've never heard of it, but it seems like a cool fighting game. And I just fell in love with the fighting mechanics. I remember playing the demo over and over and over again and just mastering the characters that you can play as. And it's kind of like sad to see that like he was young. I think he was like what, like 50, 56 or something like
He
that.
was 58. Yeah.
58. Yeah, he was pretty that's pretty young, honestly. And it's kind of sad because it seems like a lot of like Japanese creators are dying like very young.
Like Iwata
Yeah, Iwata was young. I mean, Iwata had cancer. I don't know if did they say what the cause of death was for him? I don't think they
for
have.
Itagaki
Yeah,
or yeah. No, they didn't, but I have seen videos of him like smoking and drinking, and he kind of looked like a rebel kind of guy. So maybe
yeah,
he didn't. Again, it's totally speculation, but maybe he just was kind of carefree with his health or something like that. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, yeah, that's possible. But he also came back with Ninja Gaiden, right? When Ninja Gaiden came out on Xbox, it's kind of recreation into the 3D world, and he was the creator of that, which kind of sparked that love for like hard action-based games all over again, where you weren't really getting that after the NES and SNES era. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of sad. What was your first experience? Did you play Ninja Gaiden first, or did you play Dead or Alive first?
Dead or alive, I
Hmm.
would say. I was 12. It was my formative years of, like, when I was like 13 or 14 or
Yeah.
whatever, and Dead or Alive 2, and you know, what that game's kind of known for. And obviously the fighting mechanics were great, but it was just it had a cool edge to it that the other games, like other fighting games, didn't necessarily
Yeah.
have. And it wasn't just the girls or whatever, but the fighting was like this cool counter system, and you could throw people through walls and off of different floors and stuff. And I guess
Yeah, that
Mortal
was so
Kombat
awesome.
had that too. Like you could, uppercut somebody into the next floor, but it just felt very dynamic and fluid and
Yeah.
stuff in Dead or Alive. It was just a really cool take, and it
And
had
Mortal
kind of like
Kombat was
a
more 2D, where this was 3D
right,
take on that. Yeah.
right, right. Yeah, totally new in 3D, I think, because you could have like ring outs, like Soul Calibur had
Yep.
ring outs and stuff like that, but this was a lot more dynamic than that. Ninja Gaiden was a masterpiece. I want to say it came out in '04, I think, and it was just hard as nails. The action was just so fast and fluid. It was tough. The atmosphere was great. It was mature. It was gritty, and just from everything that I've seen of the guy, it just seemed like a really interesting character that really cared deeply about the craft, and that last message that he had to the fans was really touching and sad. And then I don't know if you saw it, but
I
the
did.
creator of Tekken had a message about him too that was very sweet and very sad and very sobering as far as just kind of remembering that we have a finite amount of time here and it's just kind of the work we want to do and who we need to appreciate and nothing is free. Not every day is not something to be taken for granted and everything. And he's 58, like that's relatively young, and you can kind of just do what you can and try to last as long. But as the tweet by the Tekken guy said, is eventually it comes for us all or whatever. And um, yeah, it's just really sad because Ninja Gaiden is just he had so much he had such a good body of work and he just seemed to really love making games and um, love the effect that it had on people and kind of the
Hmm.
fandom and everything. And he had a cool aura about him, and even his statement of his impending death was kind of badass and, and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really sad. We definitely lost one of the big ones. Like I would say he's kind of like in the same echelon. I would say at least give or take is like a KG Inafune or Kenji, it's Kenji or
KG, yeah.
KG, like a
Hmm.
KJ Inafune or a what's the Castlevania guy's name?
Oh, I forgot his name.
Yeah, that guy. Like
Igazagi or something like that.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of so I put him like in the same kind of realm as those guys. Like he's not like a Miyamoto or like one of the Final Fantasy creators or anything like that necessarily, but he's definitely up there as far as how his provenance is in the industry.
Let me see. I'm trying to find his name.
The Castlevania guy name?
Yeah. No, it's saying the creator is actually somebody else.
Oh,
Yeah, it's interesting. It says the creator's name is
Igarashi.
Higurashi. Yes, or
Yeah.
that's the name. Yeah, the saying the creator is actually somebody named Hitoshi Akamatsu.
He's probably like the director or something of
Yeah,
Symphony of the Night or something. He looks like kind of a badass too in this picture. He has like a
they
little
all have
hat on
that.
and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has like an aura for sure.
There's also I'm not sure. Have you ever seen the voice actor to Kiryu from Yakuza? How he dresses?
No.
Take a look at his Japanese voice actor. Like he always dresses up like he's an actual like Yakuza guy, which is funny. I think his name is the what's the name?
To Kaya Karuda. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
like
got
if
he's
you
got
just
some
look at
riz for sure.
his main picture there,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I agree. Like it is well known, and it's to me it kind of makes me sad because these are people you grew up with as a kid and playing their like games, their products, and it's like man, like this guy passed away, and you're never gonna experience like something from them, and I don't know. Part of me is also like nostalgia. You're like, man, nothing could be ever better than the original, like the original creators. Even though we know that Ninja Gaiden 4 is coming out very soon, um, and that's gonna, probably be good because it's a platinum game, but still, it's not the same when the original creators are not in it. We were just talking about Pokemon and how Masuda is not part of the development progress, and you can kind of see that it's kind of changed. Nintendo itself feels a little bit different now that Iwata's not there, and Iwata is somebody who's been there since the very beginning. And it just kind of saddens me. It's like if Miyamoto is gone, like I'll be very
That'll be
sad.
a big one. Yeah,
Yeah,
that'll be a podcast for sure
exactly.
alone. Yeah.
Because I remember when Iwata passed away, I was kind of sad, and then that video came
Yeah.
out with the balloon. Remember that video? I think it was at the Game Awards video, where it's a balloon and it has like a cartoon Iwata, and it's like at the end he has the balloon and he's like flying up, and like the last word is like what is it? My business card says CEO or something, but in my heart I'm a gamer.
Oh,
I forgot
gamer.
what the
Yeah, right.
actual like quote was, but it was what he said at GDC one year. And it's just like, man, like you'll never get somebody like that. But it goes to that, like if that were to happen to like Sakaguchi, creator of Final Fantasy, yeah, we're not playing Final Fantasy in his way anymore, but he still has projects that I still love. Like Fantasia, I thought was great. It's just the difficulty spike at the end of the game gets pretty bad, which makes a lot of people like drop out because like everything up until then is really good. Lost Odyssey, amazing game. That is literally, one of the
That's one I
best
need
games
to
that
play at
he's.
some point.
Yeah, you never played Lost Odyssey? Oh man,
Nope.
like it is literally. I would say if Lost Odyssey was a Final Fantasy game, it's definitely the top five. Like you cannot say. I would probably say in the top three because it is that good. The story is amazing. They have these like memory sequences where they're just a story and it's all just text. And I'm telling you, some of these stories just made you cry because they're very
Hmm.
sad, and they're actually just memories of the main characters. Um, because yeah, I won't spoil it. You'll figure it out on your own. But like it's
I've heard
pretty
great
cool.
things about it.
Yeah, it's very good. They need to bring that over to modern platforms because it's a crime for it not to be available. Anyways, like if Sakaguchi were to pass away or Uematsu were to pass away, right? Even though he's not a game director, his music has touched us all. I mean, I would say the spark and the hype of like video game music, a lot of it has to do with Uematsu. Like I give Koji Kondo a lot of credit too because he did a lot of Nintendo music, which we're all nostalgic for. But Uematsu went ahead and like kind of changed it and made it very mainstream. And again, not to kind of bash what's his name, the Dragon Quest composer because he passed away a while ago, and
Mhm.
I get like ethics wise he wasn't the best person in terms of his like politics and stuff like that, but his music was very orchestrated. But Uematsu did something different. He did a blend of orchestra, but then he had like rock and all this other like types of genres blended together, and it was just a totally different way of doing music that a lot of us didn't experience until we played Final Fantasy. We're like, oh wow, like this is amazing. At least I didn't. As much as I liked other games, like playing Final Fantasy VII really sparked my interest in video game music, and from there, kind of, you know, that's what really made me like love video game music altogether. Now, I like Donkey Kong music, right? David Wise's music inside that was amazing as well. But yeah, I think it's sad, and I don't honestly, it makes me wonder like when will we get a new Dead or Alive? If not anytime soon. Because I feel like Dead or Alive is kind of dead. We joke around where Dead or Alive, some people like Dead or Alive for other reasons, but it was a really good fighting game. Like the fighting
It
mechanics were
was.
very cool. I remember having it on 3DS, which was a remake of Dead or Alive 2, and I really enjoyed it. It was fun. It was nice to play that. And Dead or Alive is a great fighting game. And I do feel that we're getting that boom in fighting games that if he was still around, he probably would have made another Dead or Alive game if he wasn't already working on one when he passed away.
They definitely scaled back the girl stuff in the latest one, Dead or Alive
Yeah.
6. Like you still could buy a bajillion costumes and bankrupt yourself buying all the costumes, but they definitely weren't as sexualized as they were like in like 5 because 5
Yeah.
was pretty 4 or 5 and to a lesser extent 4 were pretty risque. 6 they definitely dialed it back a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I never played 6.
Okay, yeah, 6 they were like they he I don't know do you know how much input he had on 6? I have no idea if he
I don't
directed
know
it
either.
or how much involvement. Okay, well let's pretend that he did. I feel like with 6 they were like, okay, we want to be considered a serious fighter, so we're gonna stop having girls in bikinis running around and
Yeah.
fighting and stuff like they like I think the outfit like there still are some outfits that might be like slightly risque, but some of the ones that are in 5 are just like oh my god, like they're pretty out there.
Yeah. That's something they probably needed to do a while back for them to be, like you said, be taken serious. Because like
And evolve
Street
with the
Fighter has
times and
that
stuff
too.
and
Like Street Fighter has it, but it's all like now they're adding that, right? But that's like optional content. It's not stuff that you need. Um, but I guess Street Fighter is a little bit different too. It's also something that was always taken serious since the very beginning.
mhm,
So it's not like Dead or Alive where people played it, but it was kind of like meh.
played it for different reasons, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it was known for a different reason. Even though, like I said, I think it was a very good fighting game. I
It was.
enjoyed it for a fighting game, and that's why I
Mhm.
like 2 and like 3. And then 3DS, like I said. And then I did have 4. 4 was on PS3, right? If I remember correctly?
No, four was on Xbox 360. It never came to Dead or Alive 3 was on Xbox. Dead or Alive 4 was on Xbox 360, and to this day, those are the only ways you can play those games. Like they're
Really? Okay.
backwards compatible on Xbox Series or whatever, but 3 and 4 never made it outside of the Microsoft ecosystem. 1 and 2, I think were on Saturn and or sorry, 1 I think was on Saturn and PlayStation and arcade, and eventually came over in the Dead or Alive collection on Xbox, which also had Dead or Alive 2. Dead or Alive 2 was on Dreamcast, and it got a port to PlayStation as Dead or Alive 2 Hardcore. And like I said, 3 and 4 were on Xbox exclusively in that ecosystem. And then the first true multi-platform one was Dead or Alive 5.
So then 5 was the last one I played because I did get that. Like, I think it was
Okay.
like PlayStation Plus or something like that. And there
Yeah, it
was
was
something about
originally
5 I didn't really
released on
like.
3. It was
Okay.
originally released on PlayStation 3, but Dead or
Yeah.
Alive 5.
Yeah, so that one I did play, and there was something about that game I just didn't like. I was kind of like, it's not as good. But at that time, a lot of fighting games weren't that great. Street Fighter also went downhill, kind of around there.
I remember when 4 came out, that was a big deal when Street Fighter 4 came out, and I think it was 2008, I want to say. That
Well,
was a
4
big
was
deal.
huge, yeah, because like that made
Yeah.
him very like challenging. But then like towards the end, like Street Fighter was it Ultra Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition or whatever the last version they made
Yeah,
was the best
there
one.
was Street Fighter 4, and then there was Ultra Street Fighter 4, then there was Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition.
No, I think wasn't it Street Fighter 4 Super Street Fighter 4 and then Ultra Street Fighter 4? Yeah, because I think it was Super
I'm
and then
gonna look it up.
Ultra. Yeah,
Let's
because there's
see.
one that had the yellow background, and Ultra Street Fighter 4 had the
Yeah,
purple
it's like blue
background.
and purple. Yeah.
Yeah.
Street Fighter 4 release um, list. Okay. So we have Street Fighter 4, then Super Street Fighter
Yeah.
4, then Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition, and then Ultra Street Fighter 4. And that came out on. Oh, it did come out on PlayStation 3 eventually. So yeah,
Mhm.
Ultra was the last one,
Okay.
but I do remember Super Street Fighter 4 with like that yellow or orange or
Yep.
whatever background to it. Yeah.
Yep, because I had OG Street Fighter 4, and then I bought Super Street Fighter 4, and then I got Ultra Street Fighter 4. I was like, man, making me buy the same game multiple times. And the thing is,
Yep.
you had to buy the game. It wasn't like DLC you can just add on. You had to buy Super and then Ultra because they changed like a bunch of stuff. Which I guess nowadays you wouldn't have to buy a newer version unless they redid the game with a totally different engine.
Or they re-release it with all the packs or whatever, like
Hmm.
the definitive
Yeah, and there's
version
that too.
of,
Yeah.
they do that sometimes, and you're like, well, why didn't I just wait and save all
Hmm.
this money?
Which they did. I mean, with Street Fighter 6, like I paid,
They
what was
haven't
it,
yet,
$60, and I got the first two character passes included on Switch too, where I paid $60, and I would still have to pay the extra for that. But yeah,
right?
it's sad to see a legend go, and I mean, it just means that we're getting old.
Yep.
Unfortunately, like every
Yep.
time I see that, that's all it means is that our heroes, unfortunately, the ones that we grew up with, are slowly moving on. So
I hope that there is. I feel like there's been an effort like this in the recent years of making sure that their stories are told, because I just feel like there's so much information they can give about their era, like the golden era of gaming. And like you
yeah.
think about Miyamoto, Super Mario Brothers 3 and Super Mario Brothers, but like my favorite Mario game is probably Super Mario Brothers 3. But like
Hmm.
just there has to be so much that has not been published on the making of that game, as far as like level design, when it started being created, the difficulties they faced, the music, excuse me, like where they sourced the music from, like what the inspiration was, like why did they choose this level to do this mechanic, how did they come up with this, what was the budget like, what was the time period like, what were they aiming for to have be on NES that they had to push back to Super Nintendo, like Yoshi, for example. Like they wanted that in Mario or on the NES, but they realized they
Yeah.
couldn't do it because of technical limitations. Like there are so many stories that are in the industry that create that, with creators passing away, they're just going to be forever lost. And so I really hope that there's a concentrated effort to get a lot of this stuff out there, which is really kind of a interesting thing to me, that Nintendo has never leaned into that like at all. Like they have that Nintendo museum or whatever, but that's in Japan. That's
Hmm.
very much blocked off from a huge swath of their audience that can't go to Japan or whatever. Um, and like, why don't they re-release Mario Brothers 2, 3, and like World as a pack, and they have like I mean, I don't know how you could do a commentary track because it'll be in Japanese. Like I guess you
Yeah.
could do like Japanese with like English subtitles, or have like a Bill
Voiceover, like
Trinan. Yeah, like a Bill
Translation.
Trinen,
Yeah.
like do a voiceover or something like that. Like while you play the game, okay, you're going into the big land, World 4 and Mario Brothers 3. Like, let's talk about like what were the developers thinking when they made this? What were some of the difficulties? Like, what were some fun parts they put in? Like, there's so much there that would be
Hmm.
so interesting, and Nintendo would make money hand over fist if they just chose to lean into that a little bit. Yet, it's still oddly secretive, even though that game came out over 30, some almost 40 years ago at this
Yeah.
point that they want to keep it close to the chest, and I just think that's unfortunate because I'm sure that that kind of game, like a Super Mario Brothers collection, uh, like I'm trying to think of like what the best word for that would be, like the like not legacy collection, like what's like a museum or something, like
A
Super Mario
library
Brothers
collection.
library collection museum, something where it has like a playable version of the game and you can just see art. Like I don't know if you remember that like a couple years ago, probably longer than a couple years ago when they were talking about Super Mario Maker and Mario Maker 2 or whatever, like the
Hmm.
25th anniversary of Mario or 35th anniversary, I forget what it was. Where they showed like the doc like the like those pictures of like the colored in blocks of like how they made the levels, and
Yeah.
that stuff was so fascinating, and I just think they could really lean into that and show a lot of really cool stuff that reflects the beginning of the industry.
Sakurai has a good his YouTube channel, which he's not doing videos anymore as of right now. But his YouTube channel has in-depth like game design stuff. Have you ever watched
Hmm.
his videos?
No, I haven't.
You have to. He does like one of my favorite episodes was about music. We talk about video game music,
Hmm.
and he talked about how he was involved with the music remixes in Smash Bros. And how he went to different like companies and different like composers, and he would fit somebody because he would listen to somebody's music, and he's like, "Oh yeah, like this is good. I would like you to see what your version of the song would be." And a lot of these like original composers entrusted Sakurai because he had good taste in music, and he handpicked who to do remixes. But yeah, he has a lot of in-depth stuff about that, making Kirby, um, him and Iwata's relationship, like how he got to making Smash Bros. I thought that was pretty awesome. And that's another good video that he did where he says he was going to finish Smash. I think after Melee, he was going to finish Smash, and he's like, "Yeah, no more. I'm done." And
Like
then
Kojima with Metal Gear.
yeah, and then Iwata came up to him. He's like, "Hey, we're gonna work on another Smash Bros." And I forgot what he said, but he's like, "Okay." And he's like, "So who can do it?" He's like, "Oh, you're doing it." He's
You.
like, "Me?" He's like, "Well, I'm not doing another one." And then he's like, "Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna announce it anyways." And they announced it at E3 before it was even like ready. And then he's like, "Shoot." He's like, he's like Iwata kind of tricked him back into it because he's like, "Yeah, I can't picture anybody else doing Smash except me." So then he went back into the role and did like Smash Brawl, which I thought was kind of
Was
cool.
wasn't there a story about how when they showed that remake trailer, how like the main director didn't know that he was like the director of it or something like that?
Yeah, that was a Smash Bros. Yeah, that was that one because they
No,
showed it.
no, 7 remake, Final
Oh,
Fantasy
seven
7
remake.
remake. Yeah, in 2015 or whatever it was when that trailer got dropped, I thought that I read somewhere that one of the like scenario writers or like directors like didn't even know that he was directing it or something like
Oh,
that
maybe
until
I
that
don't
trailer
know.
dropped or something. I
Yeah.
thought I read that, but anyway, I could be wrong.
Well, that was like I know that was the one with Sakurai. Maybe that's how it went because I remember it was something he didn't even know. He's like, "What?" He's like, "I'm making it anyways." But he decided, like he said multiple times, that he can't see himself like not being part of Smash Bros. Because he's been there since the very
Handing the reins
beginning.
off.
Exactly, and when he did Ultimate, he said the only reason he came back again was because of that same reason that
Mm.
he just doesn't know. He said, "Well, if this is gonna be my real final Smash, then I want to make it Ultimate," which is why he went with the name of that, and he put as many characters as he did. But it was kind of cool. Like he has in-depth stuff. He had in-depth about how Sora got added to Smash Bros.
Mm.
There's other game designs like other stuff was like music too, like how music matches a mood, how to put those together, the mechanics of like Kirby, how to blend easy with hard, all that stuff. I would highly recommend watching his YouTube stuff because they're very, very entertaining, and it overall helps out with understanding game design, or at least his process to game design and what would work and what would be fun. And he also compares not just his games, but he compares like third party games as well, where he's like, for example, this game, and then he he shows off like how what makes it succeed and why it's fun. So yeah, I would recommend like it's good stuff to watch while you're like eating or something like that. So
Yeah.
yeah. All right. That leaves us to the end of the podcast. I appreciate everybody for joining us today. Thank you, Brian. It was just me and you today. And I didn't think
We
we were
handled
gonna
it.
be that long, but no, we did we were pretty out there.
Almost 2 hours.
Yeah, almost 2 hours. I apologize for starting a little bit late. Like I mentioned earlier, Atom, the software that I use for OBS to do multi-streaming, kind of updated, has a different look, and it just wasn't working. But we got it to work. Seems to be working good. I'll fix the canvases later on for vertical, but our horizontal is pretty good. And yeah, tune in next week for more. Tomorrow I will be again back with some live streaming. Probably I was gonna finish Echoes of Wisdom, but I think I might just continue Legends ZA, and I'll get back to Echoes of Wisdom eventually. I'm just in Legends ZA mode. I definitely want to continue playing that and see how that goes. But yeah, Brian, where can I catch you at?
I'm at red_so_deep on Twitter.
And as always, you can catch me right here at the Random Encounter. I'll be back tomorrow, and yeah, we'll catch you guys next time. Take care.